Figured out a good way to fade in, fade out.
There you go. Take one, take two.
Okay. Figured out a good way to fade in, fade out, Carl. Take one, take two, three. Oh, sorry. Forgot what we were doing here. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about deviance right now, and I want to explain the concept of deviance from a sociological perspective, and then go into a particular theory and the social psychological reactions that that theory encounters. And let's take some very practical examples of each one of those. In general, the sociological concept is that deviance is relative. It's relative to the situation. And of course, we can carry that way too far, of course, because in both your mind and my mind, I'm sure there are things that are so criminal, so evil, or so deviant that they should be wrong under all circumstances. But it gets pretty hard when you start looking at other societies. And other societies looking at ourselves. For example, is it deviant to have the death penalty? Well, we clearly have not voted that in the United States. Most people in America don't think it's deviant to have the death penalty for heinous crimes. But most European nations, including Japan, just absolutely think it's horrendous that we have the death penalty, and they see us as kind of deviant because of that. So deviance is relative to the culture, at least within some bounds. Now, for example, if I went to a Halloween party dressed like this, I'd be deviant. But if I went to a Halloween party dressed like that, with a mask on, I don't know what you can hear here, then I wouldn't be deviant. If I taught class and walked around school with this lovely mask on, then I'd probably be considered deviant. Okay? So that's kind of the context. It's the social situation, it's the reactions of others that typically define deviance.
My mother, what's happening? My shirt's getting changed. My mother told me not to put on masks. My face would stick this way. Oh my God. Hi, I'm an alien that's taken over Scarbrough's body, and we're going to talk about deviance today, particularly Anami by Robert K. Merton. Anami is the result of unclear social rules, the result of fast-changing society, lack of social cohesion. Notice that social cohesion keeps coming up again. Anami is the result of a discrepancy between the goals of a society and the means to those goals. And Robert K. Merton is the author of this study. Just to repeat here, it is the result of a discrepancy between the goals of a society and the means to those goals. For example, what kind of goals do we have in our society? Well, we like family and so forth, but we're awfully materialistic. We want stuff. We want lots of things. And a lot of our goals happen to be revolving around wanting more and more stuff. And then the means to those goals refers to how we get that stuff. Do we get it legitimately through a job, through inheritance, through winning the lottery? Or do we break the rules? Do we commit crimes? Do we do an Enron trick? Okay, now if we look at the goals and the means to those goals, I'm going to make a couple of just a table up here with plus and minus on each one, so make a note to yourself what that refers to. What do most of us do most of the time? Well, when I was a probation officer, most of the people I had on probation were conformists most of the time, just like you and I are. Conformist. We conform, they conform to the regular expectations of society. That means they accept the goals, they want material stuff, and they accept the means most of the time. Going to school, going to a job, things of that nature. So a conformist is what most of us are most of the time. And of course, we all break the rules some of the time. Some people break it more often than others. The second type is an innovator. And as the word implies, an innovator does something new. Now, they still want stuff. They want the goals of society. They want the things, they want the gold chains, they want the nice cars, whatever, but they either don't have access to the means legitimately to get those goals, or they reject those means. In other words, they're not getting them through a regular job or something of that nature. What would be an example? Well, a drug pusher would be an example. You know, successful drug pushers are not usually drug addicts themselves because they can't handle the business. A drug pusher wants all that stuff, but they want to make the money in illegitimate ways. A third example is a ritualist. Think of going through rituals, just going through the motions without really having an understanding of what you're supposed to be doing. This person rejects the goals of society. They don't have any real goals of materialism or other goals, but they accept the means. They're going through the motions. Think of a bad college teacher, somebody with yellowed notes from 30, 40 years ago, don't have any enthusiasm, don't change any inflections in their voice, don't care if you pass or not, don't try to help people. A bad state worker at the Department of Motor Vehicles. Most state workers are good, but that would be an example of a ritualist. Someone just processing you, somebody just putting you through the motions, not really caring if you're treated well or not. Remember, these are all 5 reactions to a state of a na-me. The 4th reaction is a retreatist, and this person rejects the goals of a society and rejects the means. The retreatist might just be psychologically depressed. Notice how the 2 disciplines, psychology and sociology, come together. Or they might be someone who's just pulling back from society. They don't like what's going on in society. They don't like their job. They don't like anything such as the material wealth or so forth that they might be pursuing, or pursuing a stable family life or anything like that nature. A rebel is the 5th kind. A rebel is somebody who, like the retreatist, rejects the goals and rejects the means to the society. And notice the retreatist didn't substitute anything new to change it, but a rebel does. A rebel has an idea that you or I may disagree with, and often do, or we may agree with, where they reject the goals, but they put in new goals, and they reject the means, they put in new means. They might say, for example, that they think a capitalist society with a mind-boggling drudgery of $7 an hour work is just horrible, and so they want to overthrow the society and substitute new, more religious-oriented goals, for example, and more meaningful jobs. Someone you might disagree with very much currently, for example, is bin Laden. But bin Laden rejects the goals of the society. He rejects our materialism, our sexuality, our orientation towards the flash and the bling blang and all that kind of stuff. Bling bling, sorry. And he's trying to substitute a Muslim way of doing things, a more fundamentalist 13th century approach. He wants to change both our goals and our means. These are 5 examples of reactions to a state of a na-me. And remember, most of us are conformists most of the time. Thanks. I think I'm fading out here. I think I'm going back to the planet Exlar. You'll probably have that darn Scarbrough back next week. Bye!